fuck with me if you wanted to. And yeah, you can't fuck with me if you wanted to. Shit's that real, I'm that raw, man. This is what I do. Gather round, bring the crowd. Yeah, I always show and prove. Living out loud, I got now. Ain't no fucking with my groove. Yeah. You can't fuck with me if you wanted to. Shit's that real, I'm that raw, man. This is what I do. Gather round, bring a crowd. Yeah, I always show and prove. Living out loud, I got now. Ain't no fucking with my crew. Yeah. What am I all about? Why don't you come find out? They tried to shut me up, but I got a bigger mouth. I say it loud and clear. Let me know if you get it, yeah. Capiche? Yeah, I really got the sauce. So why am a bigger threat? I've been ripping and running this water. I'm chumming, I'm swimming with sharks.
Good evening, everybody. This is Electrical Essence, and I do want to thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And today's topic is actually going to be a topic that I have been actually kind of playing around with for the last couple of months, and I thought, you know what, I might as well just go ahead and do it. So I am going to take you down that journey of my rabbit hole. And it has been a very interesting journey, especially over the last 17 years. So, and the reason why this is such a hard topic for me to really get into at times is I really don't like talking about myself when it comes to really deep personal things. I am a very private person, and I can be a very secretive person. And a lot of times it's a defense mechanism. It's a type of a shielding, you know, because when you deal with different types of people, different types of energy, different types of situations, you know, sometimes you do have to just shield up and be able to just wade through it. And at times I've noticed that when I really shouldn't, you know, really be behind that wall, you know, it's, again, defense mechanism. And, you know, when it comes to people that I'm really close to, then it's different, you know, and it takes me a while sometimes to get close to certain people, you know, especially when you have experienced things or just coming out of an experience or coming out of like a situation and you're really trying to bond with a new person, you know, and it gets kind of difficult at times, you know, and it's so easy, you know, it's so easy for me to talk about certain aspects of my life, you know, because a lot of times when I am talking about those things, it's kind of a even ground thing, like, hey, you're not the only one. But when it comes to like really, really deep stuff and really, really like stuff that I find very serious and things that I think that are really rooted into the core of my being, then, you know, then it gets kind of, it's a scary place to kind of venture down, you know, because whenever you have to hand yourself over or open yourself up, you know, then it's a risk, you know, and sometimes in that risk, you never know what's going to happen, you know, it's like rolling the dice. So, and I've decided, you know, a while ago, you know, I need to really start kind of coming out of that, and it doesn't help either that, you know, I'm a rising Cancer with a Cancer moon, so, you know, I could really just hide away in my shell whenever I feel the need to, or even when I don't want to, but I just happen to do it, you know, it's just kind of like just like a pre-wiring, you know. So, and over the last, I would have to say, probably a good like 2-3 years, you know, I've been really trying to rewire certain things about myself because I realize that it's hurting me more than it's helping. And when it comes to certain aspects of my life that I do kind of shield away, you know, those are some of those things are things that I really shouldn't, but I really do struggle with trust issues, and a lot of times those trust issues are rooted into something else, you know, and then other times, you know, whenever I should, you know, really know when to really like take a situation, you know, and be like, okay, what does my instinct tell me? When really I should just go with the flow. So it's like a double-edged sword, you know, and it's a double-edged sword being Aquarius. It is not easy being an Aquarius, and so it's like it's not easy being me. And that is so true. And that's true for a lot of people. But we are coming into that age of Aquarius and coming out of that age of Pisces. So, and one thing I do know between like the two, like they're very Pisces and Aquarius are very very secretive. Like I always talk shit about Pisces and their little hidden secret world that they don't ever let anybody in on, and it's like, it's kind of like if anybody intrudes or if anybody tries to break through into that little secret little realm, it's annihilation time. They really don't like, having certain things invaded on them. And as an Aquarius, we are the same way. But the only difference, though, is with our little secret world, we will invite you in. We'll gladly invite you in. We will give you VIP passes to that little VIP room within ourselves. But we will also revoke and take back that pass. And if we have to revoke that pass, then there's a problem. And then when there's a problem, then that's where, depends on the Aquarius, whose problem was it really? Was it their problem or is it your problem? And 9 times out of 10, it's a problem that we have to deal with in ourselves. And some of us deal with it, some of us don't, And Aquarius is one of those signs that is like Scorpio and Gemini. A lot of people and they have and a lot of those reasons are very valid because, I've had to learn the hard way with a lot of Aquariuses. And there's certain things about other Aquariuses where I've had to like really kind of reflect on myself, like, am I like that? Do I do that? Am I that way? Am I, is there something that's really trying to like mirror back at me that I'm not seeing? I do a lot of self like reflection, and I've always done that, once I've matured, because kids don't really know how to do that, and teenagers, they haven't. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, don't know how to do that, and it's really hard too for a person to really self-reflect, like just really take a really good deep look at themselves, and sometimes it takes a couple of look-ins, but when you're looking into like that shadow self, you're looking into a darkness, and sometimes you don't see that shit in the dark, and sometimes you ignore that shit that's in the dark. So sometimes it's a lifelong thing. And I have a lot of pride and a lot of ego. And what the hell is this? Sorry about that. I did not mean to play. The other thing had a little mind of its own, but I'm recording actually on a new system, and I'm still learning it because my other one completely took a shit on me, and it totally breaks my heart because I had some episodes that needed to be edited and still needed to be added to, and I cannot access them now because the system I used to record, I didn't back them up correctly, so I have to deal with like this last, like it's been over a week now, and so I've had to deal with that bullshit. There's nothing worse when your electronics just flip you off and say fuck you, and that happens to me a lot more often than I like to admit. So I actually lost some episodes that were going to be uploaded, and now I'm either having to redo them or just say fuck it and just let it go, because things, I like to say things happen for a reason, and sometimes those reasons are just not fun, and sometimes you just have to fucking deal with it. So yeah, so I'm recording on a new system, and the fiery Luna said, she's like, it's a lot more simple than you think, you're just making it complicated. Well, you know what? I'm that type of person that has to just for some reason make things complicated to get to where I need to go. And then, yeah, I do. I have to make things way more complicated than they need to be. I don't know. I think it's just because it's a challenge. And I don't know. I really do really like just really, really, really just being an ass when it comes to that. When I know I can just take the easy road, but nope, just gonna make it worse. So, anyways, what I was saying about that pride and that ego, and that pride, is a lot of that pride comes from it's for some, I'm not, and I cannot speak for all Aquariuses, so I can only speak about for this Aquarius, me. Well, I have a lot of pride in being in an Aquarius because I enjoy it, like, I mean, I literally have it. It's tattooed all over my body in multiple different areas. And, but then, Aquariuses, they break my heart, and they make me really, like, just really get even more prideful and a little bit more ego, because then it's not based off of just an astrological thing. It's like a personal thing, like, everything cannot always be looked at at an astrological level, and I do get into numerology, and I love namology. Oh my God, I love it, and I'm very proud of my name as well. My real name, which is Melanie Renae, and the Renae is spelled with an A-E, not an E-E. It's very, very French, and my name is very, well, I am French, but it's very, it's everything. It's me. It's my parents did a wonderful job. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for giving me such a beautiful name that matches my essence, and it matches me down to the core being of who I am. And Melanie means dark, and in the new language of everything, because it seems like nowadays everybody wants to go back and just kind of re-edit like old ancient shit, and that's like really pissing me off too. But it means dark, just like ebony means black. Melanie means dark. Has a lot to do with the melatonin. Has a lot to do with our skin. And in Egyptian, in Melanie was the goddess of night, the goddess of dark. And in Greek, Melanie means mysterious. And in the Bible, Melanie means Isaiah 43:1, for I have called your name, you are mine. So I love being who I am, because it's just like, it's been something that I've really attached to, because growing up, that's all I had was me. And I am the youngest of 5, and technically 6, but I have not had a chance to really hunt down that missing one, which I will, when you start to uncover dirty little secrets in the family, and, and you're an adult, and so, your parents can't tell you what to do. But, so I am the youngest of 6, but from my mom's side, I am the youngest of 5, and I definitely pull the baby card. It is my birthright. It is allowed, and I am a big baby. I am. And I love being spoiled, by certain people, mostly my parents, because I love my parents very much. They are everything to me, because I would not be who I am if it wasn't for my parents, and I would not learn the lessons that I've had to learn in my life if it wasn't for my parents. And I wouldn't have my morals, respect, values, and my essence wouldn't have been what it is if it wasn't without my parents, because my parents created me. They made my physical creation, and the bondings of their two energies bonded and made me. So I have a very deep respect for my parents. And my father is an Aquarius, and my mother's a Sagittarius. I was born on my father's birthday, and we have the same initials. My mother, I was actually supposed to be born on my mom's birthday, but I came late. So I was supposed to have been technically I was actually supposed to have been a Sagittarius, but according to the doctors back then, medical stuff is nowhere near what it is now, like what it was when I was born. When it comes to my age, yeah, no, I'm not gonna get that. But some of you might be able to figure it out, but I won't tell you if you're right or wrong. I'll just keep telling you you're wrong even if you're right. But I'm a lot older than what a lot of people think, and I'm younger than what some people think. But I do have a daughter who is 19 years old, and I do have an 11-year-old. Oh, alien. That's what she is. She's a little alien. She's a Gemini with an Aries moon, and that Aries moon, I'm going to fuck that Aries moon up one day. I tell her that all the time. I'm going to fuck it up, because she just really, it challenges me, and it fucking wins, and I hate it. And so so I do have, like a sense of pride in myself, and there's nothing wrong with pride. It's when people don't swallow that pride, or when people really ride onto that pride when it needs to be put aside. And I think that's one of my biggest issues with Leos, and one thing I also love about Leos, because I do know some just deep, wonderful Leos that, like they don't live in ego. They are not too prideful. They are very understanding and caring, and they don't always, put themselves first. But when they need to, they know how to do that. But they also understand too that, sometimes you just gotta. Oh God, all my shit's going off in the background. I should turn everything down. They just really know how to, they've really grown into knowing how to step down and, I guess, pull that opposition, that Aquarius, they know how to step down and be with the people, and they also know how to step back up and take lead. And those are the Leos that I love the most, those that have true fucking heart, because fifth house, that's our heart, that's your passion, that's your creativity, that is, it's ruled by Jupiter. It's where our babies are created, it's because, we create them through our passion and through sex, and so, and how can I not love Leos? I mean, if you've been, I've been around way too many Leos in my life, way too many to count, and I've got some that are just very uniquely special to me. I mean, I've got a humongous Leo tattoo on my leg that reminds me all the time how much I love them, and to always have that special respect for them, and to understand where they come from, especially whenever I am opposing against one, which my oldest daughter is, she's a Leo sun, Leo moon, Leo Mercury, and just fiery, but she's still young, so she doesn't quite use the fire correctly. That's just how I look at it. She's still growing, and when she needs to use the fire, she doesn't, and when she shouldn't be using the fire, she does, but that all comes with growth. That all comes with mastery, and so being me, it's, like I said again, it's all I've ever had. I guess I'm the youngest, but I am very gapped from my siblings. The closest one to my age is 6 years, but we were not always raised around each other. It was kind of an in and out, because I was mostly raised by my father, and that made my childhood quite interesting, because back when I was being raised, there were very few single fathers, and especially like the type of father that I had, it, at the time I didn't understand it, and then as I got older, then I started to understand and appreciate it, especially the lessons and stuff like that I was taught, and having an Aquarian father, it's amazing, and my dad is an Aquarius sun, Leo moon, Gemini rising, and that Leo moon, oh, and a Leo moon on top of the Aquarius, that's like, oh, that's pride at a whole nother level. But it's a pride most of the time that I can respect. Now, do I fight up against it? Yeah, I do now. And it's hard, and my dad was in the military, so he's kind of got like that authoritative asshole military type way about him, just like my boyfriend, and very dominant, very authoritative, very, just like in your fucking face, going through boot camp, so I swear, like my childhood was like boot camp, and I think that also plays into why I'm the type of perfectionist that I am, and and then also too, being Aquarius, we're all odd and weird in our own kind of ways. So like my perfectionism is very odd and weird, and so and without that, I think that I don't know, I think it would just be complete chaos. I think that allows me to understand at a core level, like, things need to be a certain way, and they have to be in a certain way So then that way things can flow. So people that are like major perfectionists, I get it. I have in my Western chart, I have 3 planets in Virgo, and I can be very Virgo in a way. I can be very nitpicky, I guess. And I have a brother that was a Virgo, and I have a sister, one sister that's still alive. She's a Virgo, and yeah, it's a constant battle, especially with Virgos, because I have a couple of really close friends that are Virgos that I just absolutely fucking adore, just absolutely adore, and it's just like, God, they're like those one Virgos that like just transform their essence into something that is so beautiful, where some Virgos just kind of get stuck in that Virgo, but one Virgo in particular, she's got tons of planets in Virgo, and she's just like the most beautiful creature ever. So I have a very deep love and hate for Virgos, and most of that hate comes from just having siblings that are Virgos, but in the Eastern astrology, they get pushed back into Leo. So again, more Leo influence on this Aquarius, and my mother is a Sagittarius sun with an Aquarian moon. My brother that just recently passed, he was a Virgo with an Aquarian moon. And my other brother that passed a couple years ago, he was a Sagittarius with an Aquarian moon. So, and then my sister that's still alive, she's a Virgo with a Sagittarian moon. And so and a lot of Scorpio risings in my family, but my Scorpio is my 5th house, which is, it's kind of neat and creepy, and kind of also sometimes kind of fun to know that, yeah, all my shit's going to be going off. I'm just going to let it go. That with Scorpio being my 5th house, and my children being Scorpio rising, my mom's Scorpio rising, my sister's Scorpio rising, my brother's Scorpio rising, I have a lot of, like, Scorpio energy, and I've always believed that, like, children do take on some of those energies of their parents, and also believe, too, like, whatever 2 signs that you sit between, you take on those energies as well. Because it's just like your neighbors, like, unless you live on a corner lot like we do, but, you always, their shit blows into your yard, your shit in your, blows in the other, and, so it's always, the energy is always, it's always there, and it's always got to go somewhere, and sometimes it just happens to mold into something, and my life has been very interesting, and I thank all the time for my life, because it was not an easy one at all. Like, and I don't talk a lot about my childhood, because too many people do that. Too many people dwell on their childhood, and too many people think, well, I'm damaged because this and this and this happened to me when I was a child. Well, is it still fucking happening? Okay, then get the fuck over it. That's how I feel, because it's like, if I sat here and told you the shit that I went through as a fucking child, you'd have to pick your jaw up off the ground. Do I just obsess over it? No. Do I think back and wish certain things would have never happened? Yes and no. I think that because of the things that happened is part of what transformed me into who I am now. And because of everything that happened, it drives me in a way that, and I don't really think too much. I mean, when I do think back on my childhood, it's always usually like a reminiscing with my children, or I think back to like, God, I wish I would have loved to have me as a child. I would have been I was an awesome child. I was a very low maintenance child, so I think that's why. And then my girls are very, very high maintenance, and I was not an emotional child, and my children are very scorpionic type emotional, and yeah, it's really hard to deal with sometimes, especially when you're dealing with somebody who is highly overly emotional, but they don't want to show it to you unless they're being vengeful. That's my kids. They don't really like to show emotion when they should. They know what they're doing. Kids are not dumb. Kids are smart. And so my childhood was. That's just it. Parents. Things happen. Kids get influenced and shit goes down, and and your parents or who's ever in charge. Sometimes some of those people just handle it the best way that they can. Sometimes things are out of their hands, and so I do not blame my parents for shit in my childhood that I feel that was either out of their hands or they did it the best way that they could, and that's just how that just it is. Because I am a product of my environment. I am a and so it's again deep respect, and for how things were back then. It was hard. I grew up in an area that had very few blacks, if any. My parents were probably among some of the first to really migrate into Western South Dakota. Like now there's blacks everywhere, because they got Air Force Base out there. But when I was a kid, I was the only black kid in my school until 6th grade. And then when another black kid came to school, and lucky me, got to be the opposite sex, so you can just imagine how all that went down. And that was, even then I just thought, oh my God, I'm around a bunch of fucking ignorant motherfuckers, like it was just like, I think I mentally grew up faster than what I should have. And I think because of that, I really thought people were really fucking stupid, so I treated them as such. And I have a third house activation that is for people that are bullies, and I was a fucking bully from hell. And even now I have to keep that in check, because it's like sometimes I can just feel it like just boiling in me, and I'd be like, no, Melanie, play nice, be nice. And I'm like, okay, I will be nice, But a lot of that, like with me being a bully when I was young, is because I went through some shit, and it triggered me, and it was just when you have to fight back, and then you're fighting, and you're fighting, and you're fighting, and you have to get into that mode, and then you kind of get stuck in that, So a lot of these kids that are bullying, there's always a core reason. And some of those kids that are bullying, they're just it's protection, And I'm not saying bullying is okay, but a lot of times you got to get to the root of what the fuck's going on. And the more I bullied more, I think is because when the adults around me in school and all that had the chance to get to the core of what it was, and they knew what the core was, and they didn't do shit about it, I was like, all right, fuck you then, And I almost died when I was in elementary school because of the bullying, and and when the school was just like, whatever, that made me even more cold and even more closed down and even more shielded up and even more fucking mean, when it was their job to do their job, I mean, teachers, principals, all of that don't understand that they have our children in their hands, and they are to handle things in such a way, it's like our tax-paying money pays for them. You would hope so, because I know a lot of teachers are very under fucking paid, and some of those bitches need to be fucking underpaid, and some of them need to really, they don't deserve to be underpaid. But when you're responsible for all these children, you're responsible in such a way, that like you should always question all the time, why am I a teacher? What's driving me to teacher? What is it that like, especially when you're dealing with elementary age children, and a lot of them fail at their fucking job. A lot of them do not have the best interest of those fucking children. A lot of them are some really fucking shitty fucking teachers, So a lot of them, they became teachers for the wrong reason, just like a lot of women become mothers for the wrong reason, just like people get married for the wrong fucking reasons, or people pick and choose certain things in life for the wrong, and a lot of them, they don't do it out of heart. They do it out of, there's a lot of times people do it out of fear. They do it out of some type of asinine reason, which, it just happens, and that's why I always try to tell people, do what you're passionate about, because my parents, especially my father, both my parents were workaholics. That's all they did. My parents worked so goddamn much. My father always told me, if I was unhappy in a job, why stay unhappy, And it's just something that I always remembered. So like and also too, work your ass off at that fucking job. Like my parents were really firm believers in that hard work and working your way up. And I mean, Sagittarius, they like to be on top. Aquarius like to be on top. Leos like to be on top, so they have that They do. They have that whole you work your way up to fucking boss mode, fucking personalities about them, and and I had a lot of jobs that I loved my job, like I did front desk work, and I was so good at it, and I loved it, and won awards and stuff like that. But then what really fucked it up for me was people. People always fuck things up for me. But and when I say people, like, just like where either you don't get what you feel that you deserve, or you get taken for granted, or you get, like, you work your ass off and and they want to use and abuse that, or it's just little typical everyday work type bullshit, and I've always been kind of one of those, like, that moment I feel that I'm not valued or appreciated, or where my hard work is overlooked for some fucking retarded fucking reason, or for some just assholey, like, people who are in certain positions that they shouldn't be. And I'm sorry, I will not stay in misery. I refuse to stay in some place and be miserable. Like, I am not a nice person when I'm miserable. I don't like to be miserable. I don't like feeling that way. So if I am feeling that way, then I need to do something to make me not feel that way. So with work, I've always really tried to be very careful about, like, what I do for work. And I've had some amazing jobs, and I've worked at some amazing places, and it all just basically came down to, I really need to work for myself, and that's actually always have been a goal. Like when I started college and everything, that was the goal, was for me to get my education, get my extended education, and to be able to build a business, to where, for one, I can be at home, because I am a homebody, that cancer in me. I love being around my stuff. I love being in my own little world. I like breathing in my own air, I like to be able to choose when I want to deal with people and not be forced to deal with people, and I have an attitude from fucking hell. Like, I'm that bitch that calls and is talking to customer service and freaks the fuck out. And I always have to, like, really check myself too. Like, okay, like, if I don't do the pep talk before I call, it just might as well fucking cancel everything, because it's done. Like, and I really do try not to really get, like, all worked up and in my in the feelings and anger and all that, but. That's still a work in progress. I love it. That's a work in progress. But, like, if I have to call customer service, oh, please don't make me call customer service. Like, I tell Shane, please don't make, and I do. I like, you do it, because if I do it, it's not gonna be fucking pretty. Just like if I have to go to school and talk to you about my child, it's not gonna be pretty, Or if I have to explain to you something that I've actually been explained to you 10,000 fucking times and you have not heard me, and then I have to really fucking explain it to you, it's not gonna be pretty, So I'm not as it seems or what you think. A lot of people, when they meet me, they have an assumption of me, or they perceive me wrong when they first, when they very first meet me. But then once they get to know me, it's just, and I hear it's not what they think, and I just tell people, I'm a teddy bear. I am a teddy bear, but, don't poke the bear. You just, it's kind of like pit bulls. People are so afraid of them, and they are just some of the most sweetest things ever. Yes, there's some pit bulls out there that are probably aggressive, and a lot of it, that's not their fault. But again, those little sweet ones, it's, but you still take into account, hey, that's a pit bull, that's a bear, that's a lion, that's a tiger. You don't go and ruffle their fucking shit, And so I don't like being ruffled. Basically, I don't like being. To be really truly honest with you, I don't like being put into my feelings. Like, that's not somebody that you want to be around if I have to go into my feelings. And because a lot of times when I go into my feelings, and depending on which ones that I choose to go into, a lot of times it's not pretty. Even when I am trying to be nice in my feelings, it's still not pretty. I can be a vicious fucking bitch, and I know that about myself. And I've really, over the last, especially, I want to say for the last 11, 12 years, you know, I've been really trying to tame down that viciousness in me, because it's unneeded and unnecessary to always be that vicious cunt. Yes, I said cunt. I love the word cunt. I love calling people fucking cunts because it fucking pisses them off and it irritates them. And people don't like the word cunt. Just like the word moist. Moist cunt. Yeah. So, I'm also an asshole. So, at times, yes, there is needed to where, you know, you just really have to drop your balls and fucking put that bass in your voice. But those are for special occasions. You know, when you really have to assert your fucking dominance. You know, a person doesn't need to assert their fucking dominance all the fucking time, you know, and so that is, like I always tell Shane, you know, I'm really working at being more of a pacifist than anything, because I've always had to fight hard, and I don't want to have to fight hard anymore. I don't want to have to be that person. There is no reason for me, to where I'm at in my life and the age that I'm at in my life and where I'm living at in my life, to have to be like that, you know, and I'm hard on my kids. I am, oh, I am so hard on them, but I'm also hard on them for a reason. And I've also learned too, you know, like being a parent, like, yes, you have to raise them in such a way, and you have to teach them things in a certain way, but you also have to love them too, and you can't forget that love, you know. And I used to be that parent that was just, and you know, because of how I was just like a very non-emotional, non-affectionate type of parent. And then when my little alien came along, you know, that just, it triggered something in me. And I when you fall in love in a way with something, you know, it really sparks your heart, you know, just like when you have your first baby, you know, that sparks something within you. And when I had my first kid, that's when I started to tame down a little bit. I tamed down enough to where I really like had to check myself, but and I really did, you know, was trying not to be that aggressive, you know, because I mean, it does spark something in your heart when you have your first baby. And then when I had my second, you know, it ignited, you know, it sparked again, but even more so, you know, because my girls are really gapped in age, and at the age that I was at when I had my youngest, it was just like, okay, it was just, I was in a different time. I was living in a different place. I was a different person, you know, and I was really going through a huge change in my life, a very beautiful change in my life, you know. And so when I fell in love with, you know, all over again, you know, with my baby, and I fell in love with being a mom, and I, you know, and I think a lot of that too was like, okay, I am gonna be, and I was a different mom than what I was when I had my oldest, because I was a baby when I had my first baby. I was a kid, you know. So of course my parenting then was a lot different with my parenting with my new one, and of course my oldest recognized that and saw that, and having you have a little child, you know, they're super jealous, and that causes a lot of friction and a lot of fighting and a lot of confrontation, which was fine. It was needed, and makes you, you know, you have to be very aware of, especially when you got girls, you know, makes you very aware of like feelings and emotions that are fucking flying around in a very small environment, you know. And you know, and my oldest, she does take that to heart, that I had bonded different with my youngest than with her. But my youngest, that was my baby. That's her birthright. You know, that you do that with your youngest ones. You know, it's when it's your last one. You know, and technically, when I was younger, I never really wanted to have kids. You know, and I ended up having two of them, and I had girls. Oh my god. Oh, now I know why. I know why. For one, my mom wanted all boys. Why too? Most people always want boys, because girls are hard. Girls are really hard, you know, especially depending on how your kids are, their personalities and everything. And I had two very awkwardly weird children, which was really cool. Like they're very they're very Iranian in their ways, and that was cool. That, you know, so I have different relationships with both my children. I do love my children too. They have, like, I have that unique bond with each one, you know. So And so whenever you bond a certain way with somebody, it's hard. That's that bond you have with them. Just like with your friends, you bond with your friends differently. So when you have one friend jealous over this or over that, it's like, no, I bond with you in this way and I bond with them in that way. That's very Aquarian, very Aquarian. And another thing about me is, and if I could get a snapshot of the facial expression and the hand on the forehead and the look down look, I swear that that's my position right there. Like the oh my fucking god, I'm dealing with fucking imbeciles. I'm dealing with fucking idiot. It's like that's yeah. And oh, it's harsh. It is. It's harsh. There's a lot of parts of my personality that are very rough around the edges that and they and they're rough for a reason, but I can be very, very sweet, and I love being sweet. I love that. I love, the nurturing and caring and just like expressing just things just out of that love, but I can also be just ruthless, I can. And when I say ruthless, like, especially in my communication, because it can be very harsh. It can be very harsh, and that's something that I've always had to have a filter, sensor on for many years, and then when all that shit just builds up, builds up, because, the type of jobs that I've had to have those jobs where you've had to pretend to be nice, even though you didn't want to be nice, but out of the respect for your job and out of the respect for the person you're talking to and money and all of that, it's just, I've had to really watch what I say and how I say it and the tone and everything, and to realize, like, I'm at work and pain, you have to have the mindset. So for many, many years, I've had to really filter and censor my communicative style, unless, like, I'm with my friends and around people I'm comfortable around. And like when I did start actually swearing, like at home, like around my parents, it was actually at a very young age. It was just certain words I know that my parents didn't like. So then now, I do cuss a lot. Unless I'm like, and depending on who I'm dealing with, because like I understand like some people are just like, oh my god, like, especially when you say certain words, So I do really try to tone that down depending on who I'm around. But whenever I can express myself freely, that's the best. That's when you're gonna get like the realest, rawest portion of who I am in my whole essence, because I am. I am I am me. I am, I am somebody who you cannot explain. I am somebody that you have to experience, and I love people like that. I love those type of people where you just can't describe them. You have to experience them, because in that experience, and a lot of times those people, like, whenever friends meet other friends, it's like, I don't like them. I'm like, okay, well, you don't like them, I like them, so that's your problem, not my problem. But then, they want to make it their problem, because then they don't like them. They feel like you don't have to like them. I'm sorry. I have never been that bitch. I'm sorry. If I like somebody, you don't like them, your loss, And I've always made sure that nobody dictated who I could and could not be friends with, even as a child, So I think that's why it was really easy for me to make a lot of friends through different walks of life and different nationalities and different, personalities and just different social grouping, because like I like that person for who they are, and I like that person for their uniqueness, and I like that person for their awkwardness and their geekiness, or their roundness, or their meanness, or their, it's just like I appreciate all types of people and different types of energy, and it's refreshing to be around somebody who is not like the next person that and there's a lot of people that I know that have a lot of strong similarities. And that one strong similarity is I like very strong people. I like very alpha type people, because I attract a lot of submissive people, and I deal with a lot of submissive people. There's that masculine, so that. Aries, Leo, yeah. So I deal with a lot of very submissive people, and being as dominant as I am in my nature and in my personality and everything, when you're dealing with somebody, especially depending on how you're dealing with them, is it a relationship, is it a friendship, is it work, is it, you have to really be careful about how you handle them, because then it's kind of like dealing with like a little baby bird in your hand. You don't want to squeeze it too much because you'll crush it to death. So I like to be able to deal with people to where I know if I crush, they can crush back. They can handle them fucking selves. I don't have to play bodyguard. I don't have to fight your battles. All I got to do is have your back and respect you and be there for you. And you handle your shit. Now, if you need me, I'm here. But you're a bad motherfucker. You can handle it yourself. So there you go. So I have to be around, like, I like bonding with people that are very strong in nature, because weak people are easily programmed. And I don't want somebody that's easy to program. I don't want to be around somebody that is still learning who they are and struggling with that. And even a lot of strong people that portray themselves to be strong, a lot of times, yes, they are struggling with who they are, but you know what? I can respect somebody who is grasping onto that strength than somebody who's always constantly attaching onto that weakness, or playing that weakness, or playing the submissive part, or playing the whiny, cryy, no. I want to be around people who are strong, because, it's kind of like, it's like a team when you pick your team, right? Really, they want you to pick, the kid in the wheelchair and the kid, that doesn't know how to throw a ball, or the kid that has such thick bottle cap glasses that they couldn't see the ball coming at them anyways with their No, you pick the strong ones. You do. Survival of the fucking fittest, right? Well, I'm kind of like that when it comes, well, not kind of, I definitely am. I am like that when it comes to people that I bond with and people that I do get close to, because I can appreciate and I value and I respect strength, power, eliteness, and the respect for it is because they're the ones who know how to survive and make it through this world. But also, too, they're the ones that are supposed to be leading by example. Those are also the ones who are supposed to bring up the ones that are weak. Those are the ones that are supposed to take care of the underdog. You know what I mean? Like, there's a responsibility that comes along with being an alpha. There is big responsibility, and the one thing that when people do go, who are strong and who are alpha, who are very aggressive in their nature, a lot of them forget that the reason why they're like that is for the weaker ones and for the ones that aren't built like that, aren't built to last. Some people are built to last, some people just need to be built up to last. And so one thing that they forget is they forget to have heart. They forget their heart. They do. It just kind of gets burned away and all that, just that raw fucking aggression and that fire. So I am the way I am in the different parts of my personality. There's a lot more than meets the eye. There's always, and there should be, somebody's book should just not be a couple of pages. Somebody's book should, it should decorate who they are, and a lot of people who don't know who they are, and I feel for those people. I do, because I remember being at an age where I didn't know who I was. But unlike a lot of people don't come to those terms, or don't come to that reality of mind of, oh my God, who the fuck am I? And I remember going through that. I was pretty young. I remember going through that. I was just, and it like, oh my God, like, I literally just felt like my soul and my heart and everything was just ripped out of me and just like thrown into a field, and I had to go fucking find it, So I don't look down on people who are, and I can't say weak, because actually we are a lot stronger than we give ourselves credit for, and a lot of those people that are weak and are submissive in a certain way. You know, there's a reason for it. But I can't appreciate something or somebody. I have no respect for somebody who uses weakness and submissiveness and all that for their strength in a way like that damsel in distress. I hate the damsel in distress. I do. I really do. It's like, bitch, just rip the dress so you can move your fucking legs, put your fucking shit-kicking fucking boots on, and handle your shit. Now, if you're trying to handle your shit and you're still needing some help, yes, okay. But if you haven't even tried, you know, then, or you're just pretending that you need help, you know, so, I mean, I've got very mixed feelings about a lot of mixed things, you know, but I love people for a reason and I hate people for a reason, and that's totally Aquarian too. You know, we are the social butterflies, but we are also the hermit, and a lot of it's reflection, self-reflection, and a lot of downloading and uploading, you know, and I'm that type of person. I love spending time alone. I adore my time. I adore me. I love spending time with me. I am my most creative, and I am my most passionate, and I am my most loving whenever I do spend time with myself, because that's all I've ever had growing up and through my 20s, and all that is myself. And for me not to have any self-respect or any type of self-morals and values, you know, it just fucking jaw drops me whenever some people just don't have it, you know. I'm just like, it's like, well, you know what? You need to go spend some fucking time with yourself. That's what it always boils down to, you know. You need to fucking surrender to some fucking solitude of self, you know, because Scorpios, Sagittariuses, Capricorns, and Pisces, Aquarius, you know, they are the way they are a lot of times, you know, because of self, spending all that time with self. And then, you know, you have your other signs, you know, that spent a lot of time with themselves and enjoy being, but, you know, they're not like, you know, having to be all up in other people's fucking asses, or cannot, you know, survive in a world, you know, like alone. No, there are, you know, I know some other signs, you know, I know some Tauruses, and I know some Geminis. I know, well, I have yet to meet a Libra, but, you know, I have Virgos and, you know, other signs where they have spent a lot of time with themselves and gotten to know themselves, and value their times alone, you know, like alone, and they're strong in nature because they've had to be, you know. So it's not just to a sign, it's to an individual, you know, and I'm able to see past things astrologically. I'm able to see things past, you know, like down to the core of an individual, you know, and that's why I always, whenever I meet people and people want to apologize for who they are, no, don't fucking apologize for who you are. Fucking appreciate who the fuck you are. You know, don't apologize. Don't apologize, because I'm not gonna fucking apologize. I might have to apologize for hurting your fucking feelings, but I'm gonna put, you know, beforehand, hey, sorry, but I'm gonna have to, you know, and then, but I'm never gonna apologize for who I am. You know, I can apologize for things that I do, or the wrong things that I've done, maybe the wrong things that I've said, but when it boils down to, like, I love me. And a lot of Aquarius love themselves, and that love, you know, that's fifth house, that's that pride, that's that ego, that's that, you know, that's where it comes from, you know. So I'm a character, put it that way. I am a character. I'm a character. That's all I can say. So sometimes I am a fucking hoot to be around, and sometimes I am not fun to be around. Sometimes I'm interesting to be around, and sometimes I'm just fucking boring to be around. So it just depends, you know, like, just what's going on, you know. I think a lot of that too just has to do with, like, who I'm comfortable around and who I'm not, and who, it's again, it's so many different perspectives of being able to look deep into it, you know. And I try to consider all different areas, you know. But when it comes to talking about myself, when it comes to talking about some really deep shit about myself, you know, it's hard. It is. It's really hard. And a lot of times I don't share those parts of myself with people because I feel they are undeserving. I really do. And I feel that you should never, ever, ever hand yourself over to somebody who is undeserving. You should never let somebody into your world who is undeserving. You know, you should not have an open door policy to everything because, you know, you gotta save some things for yourself. And I do. I save a lot of stuff for myself. And that's my own personal power, you know, like it's, and for me, you know, just like with healing and going through problems and, you know, talking about my, you know, I hate talking about my problems. Yeah, that's why a lot of counselors and psychologists and life coaches and consultants and all that, yeah, they don't like talking about like personal issues, like really like deep personal issues. You know, I can talk about some issues, I can talk about some problems I'm having in life, but when it comes to like some really deep rooted shit, especially if I'm going through, you know, we don't like to talk about it. You know, and that's an 8th house thing. I have a son in the 8th house, so I can really just like dig in deep into that 8th house and just be there. You know, I do. I've had to live there for a really long time, so it's really it's my vacation house. You know, it's like I can definitely just like be very Scorpio in my ways, very Scorpio, and I actually. I know I come off that way to a lot of people, and they're right. You know, like, you know, whenever, especially when people don't know how to take me, that's very Scorpio. You know, when you meet Scorpio, you don't know how to take Scorpio. You know, so, but I really do try to like pull out my moon a lot more. You know, and there's a lot there. You know, having a Cancer moon is a fucking joke. It is not fucking fun. It's not. It is not fun, especially when you're an Aquarius and you're having to handle that Cancer moon and that Cancer mindset. You know, it's like always constantly having to keep shit in check all the time. It is horrible. It is so horrible because I have to be careful about how I express my Aquarian waves through that Cancer, and Cancers they can be hard. They can be hard. And they can be the type of people that have no heart. You know, they can rip your soul right out, just like Aquarius can. You know, so it's like a double-edged sword again. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end this out here. I think that it's a start. You know, baby steps. You know, but I do have some other episodes that are going to be coming out. We are working on the sexual revolution, which those are my favorite. I'll always like those. You know, the journey down the rabbit hole. Those are always a work in progress. You know, because a lot of those is sharing like deep personal things about myself and expressing myself, and I'm not always a nice person, and things are not always just, you know, glittered and pink and fun, because, you know, I'm just not that person. I'm not. I'm going to get down to the core of it. You know, I'm very Aquarian. So, all right. Thank you again. This is Electrical Essence. I also do go by Aquarian Essence. An old persona of mine was Unique Ways, so I've kind of tried to incorporate a lot of my old me into my new me, so that's kind of why. And I've got a new obsession, so I'm going to go ahead and play that out. Gonna fix your inner issues with a bad bitch. Didn't for you that I was a savage. Fuck you, my horse and the carriage. Bet you never could imagine. Never thought you could have it. You need